Sports. Silverstone.
Hello and welcome to my preview of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the home of British motor racing, and it's a very different Silverstone this year, altogether different layout, and it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm going to be talking to you about that. I'm going to be talking to you about one of the top drivers in Formula One this year, and then we're going to have a look at the Castrol rankings. That's interesting.
Valencia witnessed one of the most horrific crashes in recent years. This week's third position in the Castrol rankings, Red Bull's Mark Webber managed to escape remarkably unscathed after his car somersaulted through the air, colliding at great speed into a tyre wall, marking his first retirement of the season so far. Well, it seems the Aussie was in good spirits last Friday as he wowed onlookers outside the Houses of Parliament. He roared up to the gates and demonstrated a full F1 pit stop with his Red Bull team.
Well, driving the car in London today was obviously very unique, coming around every other lap to line up and see the boys there, and normally I see them in the environment, obviously at a racing track, and here they are in the middle of the street practicing with all the gear set up, and yeah, it was good fun.
Lewis Hamilton has insisted he and Formula One rival Fernando Alonso are completely cool. That's despite a public row after the European Grand Prix. Ferrari's Fernando Alonso had accused Hamilton of disrespect after the McLaren driver overtook the safety car in Valencia. However, it would appear the two have settled their differences over a couple of text messages, clearing the air ahead of this weekend's British Grand Prix.
Well, it's going to be a very different Silverstone in 2010. It's owned by the British Racing Drivers Club, and the first race at Silverstone of any import was in as long ago as 1948. And since then, Silverstone's been used over 40 times for the British Grand Prix. Now, it's now got continuity because after a lot of doubt about whether there was going to be a British Grand Prix in future, the British Racing Drivers Club has got the rights to hold the Grand Prix there for another 17 years. And this year there's a major realignment of the circuit itself. The result is that the circuit is going to be some half a mile longer and it's going to be even quicker than it was before. That means to say that Silverstone this year is going to be very quick indeed. Is Silverstone going to be the fastest circuit of them all? Well, we'll soon find out, and this is what it looks like.
Silverstone has always been one of the classic circuits on the Formula One calendar, but this year's race will be run on a new layout. The circuit's had a major revamp, the biggest since 1991. Originally designed to host the MotoGP, it's a new challenge to this year's Formula One drivers. The track's been lengthened by 0.472 miles, and it features a new arena complex which will provide superb views of the track. The breathtaking Copse Corner still remains, as does the exhilarating Maggots and Beckett series, and the high-speed Hangar Straight into the fast-sweeping right-hander at Stowe. But gone are Abbey Chicane and Bridge Corner. At the new right-hander at Abbey, the cars will sweep through at 185 miles an hour, before negotiating a sharp right turn at the new Village Corner, and then tackling a tricky pair of left-handers called the Loop. Then heading down the Wellington Straight and rejoining the older layout at Brooklands. The new version of Silverstone could be pushing Monza to be the fastest circuit on the calendar, with a slightly quicker average speed on the new longer lap.
He's getting on a bit, but I think he's still got it in him.
Well, he's doing all right this season, but I'm not really sure if he'll ever be a world champion.
All-time legend, I suppose. If he can get to that age and still do what he's doing and set the pace, he's fantastic in my books, yeah.
Most Formula One drivers are nice people, but Rubens Barrichello is something else. He's very special indeed. All the way from Brazil, he's the most experienced Grand Prix driver of them all now. And what people like about Rubens as a man is his friendliness, his cheerfulness, his willingness to talk to them. And what the teams like about him is that he's been in Formula One for so long and he's so experienced and he's so talented that he is an enormous help at setting up the car and generally getting things right. He's easy to get on with, he's enormously likeable. In spite of his age and experience in Formula One, he's lost none of his hunger. He still wants to win, he still wants to achieve that final thing of being world champion. And who knows how long Rubens Barrichello is going to go on. Now, how is Rubens doing in the Castrol rankings?
Well, Rumens Barrichello remains at this week's number 13 in the Castrol rankings. Dario Franchitti's third place in the Watkins Glen IndyCar race notches him up 2 places ahead of his series rival Ryan Briscoe and Jenson Button. And perched on a knife edge are this week's top 3, with Red Bull's Mark Webber in third place, former F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton in second, and holding on to the top spot for another week, it's Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel.
At Silverstone, you get an enormous crowd. There is so much of the world's Formula One industry concentrated pretty near to Silverstone one way or another. So as a result of that, you get an enormously enthusiastic crowd, and all the factory people from the various teams turn out, and there is always a wonderful atmosphere. I'm sure there will be this year.